Welcome back. Let's now talk about a new way of looping over arrays. So which was introduced in ES6, and that's for the for of loops. Let's say we wanted to loop over our entire menu here, and let's start by creating again. So the array with the entire menu. So let me just write the code here. So let's say here the constant menu. We are setting this to restaurant dot starter menu, and then so here we are using three dots, right? And same way here we use for restaurant dot main menu. And now you already know how to loop over this array with a regular for loop, right? So you have to go through all the steps of setting up a counter, a condition, and also update the counter, and that's a lot of work. So that's why we got the for loop now, in which you don't need any of that. It's so much simpler, and this is how it works. We still write for and then create a variable here. Let's just call it item for now, and then of menu, then we can log to the console simply this item. Let's see how that works, and I'm going to explain you after showing how does here works and what this loop does. Okay, so let me just write here the code. So here I'm going to write for, and then instead of curly braces here I'm so in for constant item of menu, and then here we'll console.log item. As you can see, when we save it, we got the output here. So the output we are getting from here is starter menu, and main menu we are getting, right? So these two we are getting the output here. This for off loop, which is called for off, because it is for and then item of menu, right? So this loop will automatically loop over the entire array, and in each iteration it gives us access to the current array element, which we can specify here. So in this case it's called the item, but of course we would call it anything that we want. And so if we simply log the current item down to the console, well, then it is here what we get, simply each element logged one by one. And that's because again the item variable is always the current element in each iteration. And also, just like in the if else statement, we don't need to create a code block when we only have one statement here to execute. Okay, that's pretty simple, because it is very nice level of abstracting over the regular for loop. And so we can do the same thing with this one, but without having to worry about the underlying details such as counters and conditions. And what's also great about this for off loop is that we can still use the condition and break keywords. And this is important because in the next section you will learn about the other way of looping arrays, and in those ones you will not be able to use continue or break. So you need to keep that in mind. But now what if we wanted the current index and not just the current element? Well, in the for off loop it's a bit of pain when we needed the index, because originally the for off loop was just meant to give you the current element. However, you can get the both, and then you have to do like this: constant items menu dot here we have to do the entries. So here we'll use the items, and then let's just save it. So as you can see here, menu dot entries is not iterable. So here we have to declare menu dot entries and parentheses. Now when we save this file, and so you see that each of the item is now actually an array with the index in the array element itself. So let's quickly look at what menu dot entries. So here we'll just write. So let's see the output for this. Now you can see array iterated the pizza, pasta. Here we get a weird array iterator. That's not helpful, but we learn about that iterator by end of this course. If we want to look at it, then expand this here. So let's just write here console.log, and then we'll say here menu dot entries. So let me just turn these off. So using the spread operator, it creates the array in which each position contains a new array. So it contains the element. So the element entity index number of the elements in the original array. So here we get from here, as you can see, 0 to 6, and then the elements here, and then the array here. That's also the reason why we get this the output for this loop now, because here now basically have the array, and so now each item of the array is the new array. So if we wanted like to print a nice menu, then we would have then we would take the advantage of this data now. Let's now log something nicer here. So a template string here, for example, console.log. So let's say here the item. So initially we'll declare a 0 item, because here item starts with 0 and all the way it goes to 1, right? So plus 1, and then because array dot length we have to declare from starting to right. Here we'll set to item 1. Here we take the first element 0 and then we add 1 to it, right? So here the item 1 should be in the brackets. See here we got let me just turn this off here. See here now we got the output, but I just wanted to make the change. Instead of declaring here manually, let's just declare here for constant of item. So instead of item here we'll declare I and el. So here instead of item, I plus 1, and also here instead of item 1 here we'll say el. So let me just save it. See, indeed here we got the same output. Once again, this structuring made our lives a little bit easier here. So it's really great addition to the JavaScript language. And here once again, the same is of course true for the for of loop itself. So which makes it a lot of easier to loop over arrays. So that's it for this video.